Well, the Pentagon says a U.S. airstrike has killed a senior ISIS leader in Libya. Officials say Abu Nabil was killed on Friday before the terror attacks in Paris. The Iraqi national was a long-time operative for al-Qaeda. The Pentagon says his death will help degrade ISIS's ability to recruit new followers in Libya and plan more attacks. The battle against ISIS and Friday's terror attacks in France were a central theme at the Democratic candidates' presidential debate that wrapped up a short time ago. During the second showdown between the presidential contenders, frontrunner Hilary Clinton said the bulk of the responsibility in fighting the terror group does not belong to the United States. But Democratic rival Bernie Sanders disagreed.
Cannot be an American fight. And I think what the president has consistently said, which I agree with, is that we will support those who take the fight to ISIS. That is why we have troops in Iraq that are helping to train and build back up the Iraqi military, why we have special operators in Syria working with the Kurds and Arabs, so that we can be supportive. But this cannot be an American fight, although American leadership is essential.
Well, let me have one area of disagreement with the secretary. I think she said something like, the bulk of the responsibility is not ours. Well, in fact, I would argue that the disastrous invasion of Iraq, something that I strongly opposed, has unraveled the region completely and led to the rise of al-Qaeda and to ISIS.
The Democratic debate opened with a moment of silence for France and the victims of the Paris terror attacks. Well, the state of emergency is in effect in France and all across the European continent. Security measures are being ramped up. CNN's Phil Black reports that from Italy to Germany to the Netherlands and the UK, lawmakers are looking at how they can prevent attacks like the one in Paris from happening again.
Proof terror is contagious. Just hours after the Paris attacks, a terminal at London's Gatwick airport was closed and cleared. Police arrested a 41-year-old Frenchman seen acting suspiciously and found him with, quote, what appears to be a firearm. Police said they didn't know if it was a working weapon or what the man's intentions were, but they were treating it all seriously because of the events in Paris.
A horrifying and sickening attack.
The British Prime Minister promised lessons would be learned from Paris.
It is clear that the threat from ISIL is evolving. Last night's attack suggests a new degree of planning and coordination and a greater ambition for mass casualty attacks.
But David Cameron said British police have been training for this style of terrorism ever since the Mumbai attack of 2008, where multiple gunmen massacred 164 people.
This summer in London, we did a massive exercise for exactly the type of scenario that tragically has happened in Paris in the last 24 hours. We were looking at automatic weaponry, parallel events across a major city.
These forces are patrolling a French airport. The terror created so powerfully in Paris has also triggered increased security measures across Western Europe.
Non ci sono parole per descrivere l'orrore.
The Italian Prime Minister, Matteo Renzi, along with officials in Germany and the Netherlands, announced they would do even more to try to prevent further attacks. And now there's extra attention on security at large, imminent international events. Leaders of G20 nations gather in Turkey this weekend, and France is due to host the next big climate change conference in just 2 weeks. The French government says it will go ahead securely, despite the vulnerabilities so brutally exposed in Paris. Phil Black, CNN, London.